Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of the Sunshine Cathedral for the Queer God Squad. Joining me today and most days are Bishop Robert Griffin, Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, and Reverend Kevin Tisdall. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us.
Queer God Squad was created by hotspots happening out to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community.
There is no streaming TV show like this in the entire world. In 2026, we are celebrating the 41st anniversary of Hotspots magazine, with Queer News Tonight sharing over 14,000 stories and 12 million views so far.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies. Please like and share today's story, and if you'd like to support the work of Sunshine Cathedral, visit sunshinecathedral.org.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. Trump Vanity project greenlighted while South Florida LGBTQ+ folk suffer summer heat. Following a series of line-item budget vetoes by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, the state government has faced sharp criticism over its spending priorities. Critics are drawing a direct contrast between the funding allocated for a high-profile commemorative naming project and the rejection of a local infrastructure grant for a community hub. Florida lawmakers approved a $2.5 million in state funds to rename a regional airport in honor of Donald Trump, rebranding it the Donald J. Trump International Airport. However, in the same fiscal cycle, the administration used line-item veto power to reject a $300,000 grant intended to repair a broken, failing air conditioning system at a prominent South Florida LGBTQ+ community center. Advocates argue that denying the cooling infrastructure funds threatens the center's ability to host essential community health services, youth programs, and elder care during the dangerously hot summer months. Representatives from the center expressed deep frustration, calling the decision a politically motivated attack. Meanwhile, state officials defended the budget cuts as a necessary measure to eliminate what they characterized as localized earmarks, keeping state spending tightly focused on broader fiscal discipline. The Queer God Squad questions the discipline of a premature vanity project over the well-being of Floridians who may also be queer. I look at what happens in my adopted state and understand that so much that is done is simply done based on politics of hate. To deny a community center the essential funds to make it comfortable for people to come and do their own business is ludicrous. And to take $2.5 million to rename an airport, which meant you had to rename the airport, you had to change its designation with the FAA, you had to change all of the signs on the highway leading up to it. $2.5 million to glorify this person. I'm sorry, but it makes no sense to me. And with DeSantis, as you look at what he does, you always see his political motives, his objectives, and that is to disenfranchise as many people as possible, many people who do not think the way he thinks. If you are a Christian nationalist, I bet that you have a place in his heart. If you are LGBTQ, I doubt that he even thinks about you, except how can I hurt them a little bit more? And his history of harming people who have no power is legion, and like with so many other people who have come before him, he will be remembered as a despicable human being by most of us.
You know, and the the particular building that's in question is not a properly owned building. This is a city's building. This is a city property that houses different groups in it. So the city is technically on the hook for maintaining the condition of this building to make it habitable. And so I don't understand what the question really is. Like, really, you have a city building that has to be maintained, has to be kept, upkept. The upkeep on it has to be done. I would say regardless as to who's occupying the building is still yours to maintain. But to do this type of line item stuff, I think is vindictive. It is targeting, and the building in question is about a place that provides comfort, to assistance and programming to people who are in the community. And so to say we're not going to do this because, it's a predominantly LGBTQ community center is just not acceptable on so many levels. And you're putting people's lives at risk. I think several years ago, we had the nursing homes that during the summertime, and the heat ran out following a storm, and we had to go through this whole thing and get generators in front. We don't need a repeat of those type of things like in the state of Florida. Been there, done that. We know how we can prevent these things. Let go of the money. Do the right thing.
Yeah, I don't really get the renaming of the airport to begin with. I mean, yeah, I understand.
Notice I miss all that.
Right, exactly. Well, thanks a lot. But, I get the political leanings and that kind of stuff. I get all of that. But what a gigantic waste of money when you could be using that money for a lot of really good things. Yes, these are queer folk that are going to not be able to use this community center. And it's not just queer folk that use these kinds of community centers.
Exactly.
But because, it is a queer community center, it's being targeted, and they're taking money to fund this Vanity project, which makes absolutely no sense to me, other than hate and hurting people.
My favorite part of all of that? People who live in Palm Beach County are saying that they will do everything possible to avoid using that airport as long as it has that name.
And Broward.
So it'll be interesting to see if the airport starts losing money. I hope it does.
Yeah. This is a pattern, a long-established pattern now of this administration, which is its second go-around, of using political power against perceived enemies. And anyone that isn't completely sycophantic is a perceived enemy. And so they're using the power of the state, the power of the government, the power of the IRS, the power of Border Patrol, the power of every, whatever power they can wield, they are using against women. They are using against immigrants. They are using against queer folk. They are using against trans folk. They are using against BIPOC folk. They're using against intellectuals. They're using against liberals. I mean, entire states. If you voted blue, you're last on the list to get any help, no matter the size of the disaster. That is unethical. That is immoral. That is petty. That is vindictive, and it is the established pattern for 6 of the last 10 years, for sure. Also, isn't it odd? Maybe this has happened before, but I think it's odd for a sitting president to want statues and to join Mount Rushmore. I thought that was a done deal. I didn't know that was, that we were thinking of expanding it. Like, does every 7th president get just added? I didn't know. But the name on the Performing Arts Center and now the airport. Emperors do that, but I thought we honored former leaders out of respect for their service. And so you get an airport, you get a library, you get a street, you get a highway. But I thought that was like in gratitude for their service, like the Hoover Dam. I don't think it was called the Hoover Dam when Hoover was president. I think I always thought it was like to honor their service in hindsight. We've only had 47 presidencies, and so that you were part of that. Thank you very much. So you get an airport or whatever. This president, first of all, honestly, deserves no recognition, no honor, no remembrances. You can't find a statue of Hitler in Germany. That should be the same way with Trump. And he knows that, or he wouldn't be trying to do it himself.
Yes.
He knows he can't trust people to honor him because he is not honorable. Even in the least little bit. And so this self-adulation is just exhausting, and it's pathetic, and that he doesn't even try to live up to it. Like, okay, my name's everywhere. I got a golden statue now, and I'm trying to get my face put on a mountain, and I got an airport. And how does that look? And you're doing all that while making sure Medicare isn't saved, while making sure that lunches for children aren't supported. Like anything good, and that's the real Jedi mind trick. That anything that improves the lives of suffering or hurting or vulnerable people is socialism.
Yeah.
And as we learn, as then those of us who are democratic socialists come out and say, let me tell you about socialism, because you apparently don't know what socialism is, how it's good, how this isn't quite it, blah, blah, blah. So now they've gone full on McCarthy. Well, then it's communism. Which is even more ridiculous. And if you haven't read Marx and Engels, don't let that word be in your mouth. Because you for sure don't know what you're talking about. If you haven't studied the economics, if you haven't studied the sociology, the social theory that Marx wrote, you may or may not agree with it. I don't think it's ever been implemented perfectly. I don't know. But FDR was not a communist. And Sweden is not a communist country. And Norway is not a communist country. And Canada is not a communist country. And Japan is not a communist country. People who want their people to be well and educated and housed and safe, that's not communism, that's humanism. That's humanity. That's being a person and caring about other persons. And so this Jedi mind trick of saying, we don't have money to help people. And if you want to, and it's nice to help people, where are we going to get the money? Well, where did we get the money to give billionaires huge tax breaks? Where do we get the money to bail out businesses that were too big to fail? Where do we get the money for any war we want to start, with or without provocation? So it's not about where we're going to get the money. So like, how are we going to align our priorities? Because we've got money. And if we don't have enough money to rebuild roads and support education and get everyone the health care they need and have a military industrial complex, maybe helping people isn't the thing to be cut, in my socialist opinion. But no, know what communism is. Communism is when the state controls the economy, runs businesses, owns everything. And you've never seen that in the United States? You've never seen that in the Western world. Even in some countries that call themselves communist, they have backed off from that. That is not the exact, that may be how most of China is, but that's not how Hong Kong is. There are exceptions for Hong Kong. So yeah, the state owns everything, runs everything, controls everything. That's just hard to micromanage. And that is not what democratic socialism is about. Capitalism is anybody can get rich, and communism is nobody can get rich, and socialism is we don't care if you're rich as long as everyone's taken care of. You can have all the money you want, but you got to be taxed on it because not everyone's going to have your level of money, and they need to eat and go to school and have medicine also. So socialism, if you're a follower of Jesus, you might just mistake it for Christianity. Socialism is, yeah, you can have a lot of money. We want you to be responsible with it. We're going to take a fair share of it to make sure people who don't have that much money, you shouldn't have to be rich to be safe or not be hungry. So socialism to me is, yeah, you can be rich, but nobody should be poor. And that's not communism. But if it were, then I would be communist tomorrow. But it's not. And quit being silly, and quit using the words that you think are scary, and quit falling for it. Quit, oh, they said communist, it's bad. First of all, you don't even know what it is. Define it for me. Tell me 3 things about it. And you can't. So don't be scared about a word you don't know what means. And don't use a word intentionally to manipulate people who you know don't know what it means. And that's today with the Queer God Squad. Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about. Please like and share this and other episodes of the Queer God Squad. Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we are all in this together. Also remember, you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.